HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents Honest Aging, An Insider's Guide to the Second Half of Life by Rosanne M. Leipzig, M.D., Ph.D., read by Suzie Althens. Publisher's note: this audiobook contains references to material present in the print and e-book editions of the book. Preface. I am a geriatrician, a specialist in the care of older adults. In my 40 years of practice, the number one question that I'm asked by patients, families, at parties, or when sitting next to someone on an airplane is this normal for aging? This can be a change in physical appearance, a new symptom or behavior, or difficulty doing something that's never been a problem before. There's a world of subtext in these questions. Is this a sign of a serious chronic illness? Is this the start of dementia? Will this kill me? Will this make it impossible for me to live independently? Can anything be done about this? What is normal? Dictionary definitions include usual or typical. Normal doesn't mean there's never a cause for concern, or that there's nothing that can be done to make things better. Normal age-related changes can affect what you do day to day and how you feel, both physically and emotionally. We're lucky to live at a time when so many adaptive devices and technologies are available. When you turn 40 or so, you develop blurred vision while doing close-up work, reading, using the computer, or sewing, for example. This is called presbyopia. It is normal, and hopefully, you will respond by getting glasses to correct your vision. Without glasses, you wouldn't be able to live a normal life, and your new visual impairment would become a disability. We don't usually think of glasses as assistive devices, yet they are, just like canes or hearing aids. These devices can make an enormous difference in the quality of our lives as we age. However, this will happen only if we recognize how they improve our function and ability to engage with the world when using them. How you react to age-related change determines how you will live. People age in different ways. Some fight it tooth and nail, denying that any changes are happening. Some are scared and anxious about every change they perceive. Some cave in, and some just keep living, looking at the changes as new and interesting challenges. The same holds for family and friends, who have their own fears and concerns about the safety and quality of life of their loved ones, as well as the effects this process may have on their own lives. Both worry about how changes related to aging will affect their relationships with each other. It is my hope that the answers, ideas, and suggestions you find in this book will help you and those you love to be creative, resilient, and engaged in the second half of your life. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to old age. From Life is a Journey by Alvin Fine. How to use this book. Honest Aging is a guide for you and your loved ones as you begin the next stage of your life. What should you expect as you age? Every person ages differently, yet there are common changes and challenges that all of us experience. This book is not a prescription for aging backward or making 80 the new 60. It doesn't delve into DNA, telomeres, or other aspects of the basic science of aging. It is not a guide to self-diagnosis, nor should it substitute for regular visits with your medical provider. But it may come in handy when you and your practitioners are trying to figure out whether something is normal or if there are ways to help you function better. This book is for older adults, their loved ones, and those who are curious about what to expect and who they can be as they age. Each chapter is written with an awareness and sensitivity relevant to each of these listeners. For example, those concerned about their memory may not want to tell others, afraid that they will lose their autonomy and independence. But they still want information as to whether a loss of cognitive function is actually happening, and what they might do to limit it. Loved ones may not know how to discuss concerns about memory or make suggestions without engendering conflict. The curious run the risk of becoming worried well, focusing on potential problems rather than being proactive. Part 1 of the book, Aging 101, focuses on 5 spheres that are uniquely important to the health and well-being of older adults. Chapter 1 addresses personal and psychological responses to aging, both for older adults and those who care about them. Chapter 2 provides an approach to medical care for older adults, comparing and contrasting 80-year-olds and 60-year-olds in the ways medical illness presents and should be treated, and introduces the focus of Part 2, geriatric syndromes and the geriatrics 5 M's. Chapter 3 discusses medication use and management in older adults. Chapter 4 presents a framework for deciding what care makes sense for you and how to discuss this with your providers, while Chapter 5 addresses what should constitute preventative medicine when you're 65 and older. Part 2, What Really Matters as You Grow Older, focuses on the symptoms that cause my patients and their families to worry the most. There are chapters on memory, energy, moods, mobility, balance and falls, sleep, urination, vision and hearing, aches and pains, gastrointestinal concerns, weight and nutrition, and sex. These chapters cover the gamut of where things can and do go awry as we grow older. The chapters are structured similarly, beginning with questions and answers about what's normal with aging and adapting to your new normal. They also discuss what isn't normal aging, with red flags to alert you to serious symptoms that need prompt evaluation, and yellow alerts that describe medications and common treatable conditions that may be causing or exacerbating the problem. Deeper dives into the science and age-related changes are contained within boxes in each chapter. The chapters in Part 2 also discuss whether to get an evaluation, when to see a specialist, and how to prepare for the visit, including a pre-visit checklist found in Appendix 3 in the print and e-book versions of this book, for you to complete beforehand and bring to your visit. Part 3, Difficult Decisions, addresses some of the life concerns about which individuals and their families worry the most. Chapter 17, along with Chapter 4, discusses the overall process of decision-making. Chapters 18, 19, and 20 consider the options for, respectively, where you should live, if you should continue driving, and how to decide who should speak for you if you're unable to speak for yourself. Loved ones is the term I use for those people who care about and for a person who is growing old. Recognizing how sensitive conversations can be between older adults and their loved ones, especially when contentious issues need to be discussed, I offer advice for loved ones, prudent ways to frame and have discussions toward the end of most chapters in Parts 2 and 3. In my experience, the key to aging well is having a sense of what to expect, what's normal and what's not, and what options there are for you and your loved ones when adapting to whatever is in your future. This is the purpose of this book. It's also to help you keep your eye on the prize, having an old age filled with contentment, meaning, well-being, and connection, by being open and flexible as you experience the rewards and the challenges of aging. Part 1. Aging 101. Chapter 1. It's only aging. Get a grip. The key to aging well lies within you, the attitudes and responses you have to growing older and entering old age. Aging, it's better than the alternative, is a familiar quip. It's not often said with a lot of enthusiasm, and it's hardly a rousing recommendation for what may be up to a third of one's life. Yes, there will be inevitable physical declines and losses that can transform your life, but as long as you're alive, there will be new options for improving your well-being, happiness, and sense of purpose. Being resilient, facing challenges, and establishing a new normal can allow you to have a positive outlook about the future, to think outside the box you may find yourself in, and to appreciate the possibilities, humor, and joy that can be part of your life. Old age is a new stage of life. It is not the same as middle age. Your abilities, your desires, and your circumstances are likely to change. What counts is how you deal with these changes. Not all change will be welcomed, but I bet this isn't the first time in your life you've needed to adjust to uninvited change. In my many years of practice as a geriatrician, I've seen different responses to aging, from head-in-the-sand ostriches to obsessive worrywarts to wise old owls. These are choices. Facing reality head-on, using this book to discover what's likely to happen, what to expect, and what you can do will help you to turn this stage of your life into a time of growth, meaning, and happiness. But if you buy into the stereotypes and myths, you'll be at the mercy of the naysayers, including, at times, your healthcare providers. Be proactive, creative, and resilient in response to the new situations you will undoubtedly face. Self-fulfilling prophecies. We develop stereotypes of aging when we are children. Some stereotypes are positive and some are negative. These are often reinforced throughout our lifetimes, and they can become self-fulfilling prophecies, affecting our health and well-being in old age. Dr. Becca Levy and her colleagues conducted a series of studies and found that older adults with negative perceptions of aging performed worse on memory tasks and standardized hearing tests, and their hearing declined more rapidly than those with positive perceptions of aging. In contrast, in a study with an 18-year follow-up, older adults with positive perceptions of aging lived 7.5 years longer and maintained more independence, including the ability to do heavy work and climb stairs, than those with negative perceptions of aging. This wasn't true only for those in old age. Over 38 years, young and middle-aged adults, 18 to 49 years old, with negative perceptions of aging, had more cardiovascular disease, and those aged 18 to 39 had more heart attacks after age 60. At this point, you're probably wondering how this could be. These health conditions are generally considered to be caused by diseases and age-related physiologic changes, not by one's attitude. Yet, attitude can influence one's effort, expectations, adherence to medical advice, and use of adaptive strategies. For example, older adults with negative perceptions are less likely to seek preventative medical care. The good news is that these self-perceptions are not immutable. In other studies, Dr. Levy's group randomly divided older study subjects into two groups. Each group had stereotypes of aging subliminally flashed on their screens while performing a task on a computer. The subjects were unaware that stereotypes were flashing on their screens. Stereotypes were negative for one group and positive for the other. Those exposed to positive stereotypes showed improved memory, handwriting legibility, and, in an exercise study, better strength, gait, and balance. They also had fewer negative self-perceptions of aging. Negative stereotypes, even subconscious ones, activate negative self-perceptions, which become self-fulfilling prophecies. Your job, and that of those who love you, is to recognize that these stereotypes are not reality, to improve your own perceptions of aging by speaking up when you hear or see negative stereotypes, and to surround yourself with positive images of aging and empowered older people. Professionally run arts workshops, often called creative aging programs, engage older adults in opportunities for meaningful creative expression and have been found to improve their health, wellness, and connectedness. What is old age? I'm often asked at what age old age begins. The great statesman Bernard Baruch said that old age is 15 years older than I am. That works for me. But when do we feel that we've reached old age? That varies. Many of us are a bit surprised when we look in the mirror or at a photograph of ourselves. Who is that person staring back at me? Individuals have lived into old age throughout history, but never before have so many lived so long. For our society, old age now is a new phenomenon. 50% of people born in 1900 died before they were 47. Infant mortality was high, and adults died from infections like pneumonia, tuberculosis, blood poisoning, bacteremia, accidents, and diseases like high blood pressure or diabetes. Today, many of these conditions can be prevented or cured, while the others are managed with behavioral change and medication. This success has brought new challenges. Half of people born in 1965 will live into their 80s, and many will spend 20 to 30 years in retirement. With these additional years come age and disease-related changes that can affect what you're able to do. In your 80s, you will not be the same as you were at 20 or even 50. Aging begins at birth. We reach our maximum abilities at different ages, but the reality is that many physical characteristics peak by our 30s, like muscle mass, bone density, and physical endurance. But it's not all downhill. The truth is that most older adults, even the old, over age 85, are in good health and able to do much of what they want to do. For example, as many as 80% of people over 65 and 70% over 85 report that their health is good or excellent. Only 20% of people 65 and over and 40% over 85 have significant limitations in vision, hearing, mobility, communication, cognition, or self-care. Only 4% of people over age 65 and 13% over 85 live in nursing homes. There are real advantages to having lived longer. Older people are less insecure than their younger selves. They're more likely to say exactly what they're thinking and to do what they want. Societal norms and peer pressure become less compelling, allowing older people to better see the big picture. Yes, death is closer. But coming to terms with this fact and recognizing your time is limited often results in a greater focus on the present and what's really important, instead of dwelling on the past or the future. Older adults can have intense negative emotions, but studies show that, compared with younger people, these happen less often and are better controlled. Wisdom grows, including having a larger store of coping mechanisms and problem-solving strategies. For additional information, listen to the discussion of the paradox of aging in Chapter 8. Make peace with aging. For more people, old age will become their new normal. Normal doesn't mean there's never a cause for concern or that there's nothing you can do to make things better. The changes that come with aging can affect function and well-being. This book addresses what to expect as you age and what you can do about it. But none of this information will help if you still view aging as the enemy. A great recipe for aging well is a passage from the familiar Serenity Prayer by Reinhold Niebuhr. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. To benefit from this book, you need to accept the changes and limitations that come with aging and be open to novel ways of adapting and meeting these challenges. Think of these extra years as a gift. Oftentimes, it's how you react, not what's actually happening, that makes life difficult. The loss of loved ones, functional abilities, long-standing roles and responsibilities, and even of familiar environments are inevitable parts of aging. It's normal to respond with some sadness, grief, or even anger. But becoming resentful, isolating yourself, or refusing help doesn't help you cope with the loss. These reactions are not going to reverse time. In fact, they're likely to make you more miserable. See what new doors are opening. Try to see the humor in some of these situations. Don't view later life as a glass half empty because you're not able to do everything you were once able to. Envision it as a glass half full of as yet unknown possibilities. I know it's a lot easier to say this than to do it, and it's hardest to do it when the losses come as a total surprise. But no one knows what the future will bring, so it's never too soon to think about your future and make some plans. Reflect on what really matters to you, what's no longer so important, and what you might do in response to life's future challenges. What will you do if you retire, have difficulty walking, or lose loved ones? What resources do you have? Financial resources help, but equally, if not more important, are family, friends, and spiritual or other affinity communities that provide emotional support, not to mention your own inner life, ideas, and values. Practices for a happier old age, regardless of your current age. Resist ageism. Older adults are commonly portrayed in the media as unattractive, childlike, confused, grumpy, and selfish. Has this been your experience? I find it so strange that we disparage and are prejudiced against our future selves, since most of us, the lucky ones, will eventually be members of this group. No wonder we're in denial. Become a role model for aging. You can do this simply by being yourself and telling people your age. You'll love the look of surprise on their faces. I see it often when medical students meet my patients. Right-size your expectations. Age doesn't need to change your passions. You can still be a daily walker or a competitive runner. But if you expect that by working out you will reclaim the speed and strength that you had when you were 40, you're wrong. Even those in the best shape will walk or run slower as they age. After all, there are Boston Marathon winners of all ages, but the winning time for 20 and 30-year-olds is about 2 hours, while it's twice that for 70 to 80-year-olds. Run marathons, walk daily, and work out to slow your age-related loss of speed and strength. Just remember to adjust your goals and expectations. Be resilient, adaptable, and flexible. With aging, we lose people, roles, and abilities that have been central to our lives. How we react and respond influences our happiness, contentment, and sense of well-being. Being grateful for what you've had and what you still have can help your mood and bring your focus more to the present. Compassion, humor, and finding new meaning and purpose can help reestablish a positive outlook. How do you spend your days? Are you doing things that you find meaningful? Getting out daily? Helping other people? Consider volunteering. It's associated with longer life, better moods, and improved health. And it's a good way to meet new people and become more engaged in your community. Be proactive and explore what you might do to reinvigorate your life. Redefine the term independent. Independence is an important word to teenagers. It means they can do what they want on their own. As we age, independence continues to mean being able to do what you want. But you may not be able to do this by yourself, and it can be difficult to accept help. Yet, what's most important to many older adults is to be able to continue meaningful social and spiritual connections, important activities, and living arrangements. Needing assistance in these areas may feel like a threat to your independence, but accepting help can actually allow you to be more independent and do what you want to do. Help can come from a person, a device, by learning new skills, or by adjusting your perspective and doing things differently. Never say never. It's easy to dig in your heels and proclaim you'll never use a hearing aid, move out of your home, have an aid, or take an antidepressant. What you're really saying is that change is scary, and the alternatives have downsides, which is true. But they also have upsides. Anytime you face a new change, make a list of the pros and the cons. If possible, do a trial to see what happens. For example, commit to using a walker for 3 months. Track your activities, your mood, how often you go outside and socialize, and whether you fall. Don't decide whether you'll keep using it until the end of the trial. Remember, making a change can be the key to having a more fulfilling and independent life. Advocate for yourself and allow others to advocate for you. Pain, shortness of breath, nausea, insomnia, sadness, and other symptoms affect your daily life. It's important to identify and treat the underlying cause of these symptoms, but some symptoms may persist. These symptoms are not benign, without consequences. They can start a spiral where you become less active, get deconditioned and weaker, more tired, depressed, the list goes on. Do not accept decline as a part of normal aging. Use this book as a guide, and get help to figure out what's causing the symptoms and what can be done to become as symptom-free as possible. Commit to trying the treatments, including therapy, physical, occupational, psychotherapy, medication trials, and behavioral modifications. Let others help you when you need it. Select, optimize, and compensate. When you can't do everything you once did, for whatever reason, remember SOC. Select what really matters to you. Optimize by practicing and rehearsing what you are able to do. Use it or lose it. And compensate by using alternative mechanisms and equipment. For example, if there is an evening show you really want to attend, but don't feel you have the energy or stamina, do all you can to get a good night's sleep the night before. Exercise, eat right, and schedule a nap for that afternoon. Consider using an assistive device to get to the event, like a cane, walker, or even a wheelchair, to conserve your energy. Remember, never say never. Don't let vanity and pride get in the way of your having a good time. Laugh more. Cultivate your sense of humor, especially about those things that scare you or you can't control. We all take ourselves seriously, sometimes a bit too seriously. Have you ever noticed how many comedians live and continue performing well into old age, and that they are often the butts of their own jokes? Think about George Burns, Bob Hope, Moms Mabley, and Lily Tomlin. Having a sense of humor can help you face the unknown. Choose the right doctor. Get a doctor who knows the difference between caring for 80-year-olds and 60-year-olds.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?